sympathy and of various points of view there stuck up on the plinth of the statue. The group laid some flowers. There were suggestions from the group that the police did not handle the collapse of this gentleman effectively, that they were tardy in moving him out of the area. The police view is that they sent in police medics at the time. The police medics came under fire from missiles and items being thrown by protesters and had to take the gentleman out of the cordon. But I am joined by somebody who was there. So can you tell me what you saw?
Yeah, I think in any confrontation, truth is the first casualty, and I just want to clarify the reports I saw from this morning. He was not in his mid-30s. He was a gentleman who seemed to be over 50. He was riddled with tattoos, and from the smell of him, he'd been drinking all day, and his eyes were very wide, as if he was under the influence of drugs.
What about the action of the police? We can't speculate about the condition of the gentleman, but what is at issue here is the way the police handled it.
I think I came along at 6:30 last night, and the police seemed to be acting very professionally. There was no overkill, no beatings, and the only reason this gentleman collapsed is because the police ran forward maybe 20 meters at a time, and then he ran off as well, and I saw him collapse and smash his head, and then he was lying there with his eyes wide open, and then a guy in the audience had a megaphone and shouted, "Police, we need a medic," and within seconds the police had a team of 8 people ran forward, and yeah, there was a couple of people throwing bottles and bricks, but there were a few other anarchists who were saying, "No, stop this, time out, time out." So within seconds there were no more missiles, so the police were with him for a good 2 or 3 minutes before they dragged him back. But as they were dragging him back, then the missiles began again.
Just to clarify, were you taking part in the protest? What were you doing there?
I'm a city worker. I was there out of interest, of curiosity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So as I say, that's one eyewitness there. The police have set up an inquiry into how their officers dealt with it, and as I say, those representing the demonstration yesterday have called for their own inquiry, so we may yet find out more, including the gentleman's identity, over the next day or so. Back
yet on whether the death of Ian Tomlinson would lead to the prosecution of a police officer or not.
The widow of Ian Tomlinson has told the inquest into his death she had lost the love of her life. Earlier, she broke down in tears as new images of her husband's last moments were shown to the court. The footage shows him trying in vain to find a way out of the G20 protests, his path repeatedly blocked by police. More footage also showed the movements of PC Simon Harwood, the Metropolitan Police officer who struck and then pushed Mr. Tomlinson to the ground shortly before he died. Our Home Affairs correspondent Simon Israel was in court for the first day of evidence.
The coroner, Judge Peter Thornton QC, here on the right, took the jury to the scene in the heart of the City of London. He told them there is no final decision yet on whether the death of Ian Tomlinson would lead to the prosecution of a police officer or not. But the jury didn't just visit the scene today to get an understanding of what happened on April the 1st, 2009. They were shown 2 DVDs, each of them tracking both Ian Tomlinson and PC Simon Harwood, before, during and after the two collided here in this passageway with such tragic consequences. The path of the 47-year-old news vendor began at Monument Tube Station, caught on CCTV leaving work. At around the same time, PC Harwood was trying to haul a G20 protester up the street to police lines. Ian Tomlinson, the jury was told, had been drinking that day. His journey across the city and through the demonstrations was hindered by police cordons. We have highlighted this footage. One police line after another blocked his attempts to get to the hostel where he was staying. He met the same obstacle attempting shortcuts through alleyways. There's no sound with much of this footage. He turned round, tried a different road, then a different route, and ended up standing under a tree in the Royal Exchange thoroughfare. PC Harwood's movements, meanwhile, were shifting from one confrontation to another. Firstly, there was the demonstrator, then a TV cameraman. Then he merges into the background behind dog handlers before entering the very thoroughfare at the very moment Mr. Tomlinson is under the tree. The coroner described how the constable struck the father of 9 on the left thigh with his baton and pushed him to the ground. Judge Thornton then highlighted the importance of just how Mr. Tomlinson fell, which he said one pathologist concluded that the right arm trapped under the body impacted with his liver, causing internal bleeding. From being on the ground, the 47-year-old is tracked, walking off, but then collapsing around the corner. He never recovered despite immediate medical attention, all of which was filmed from above by a police helicopter, with officers wrongly describing Mr. Tomlinson as a As Mr. Tomlinson lay dying, the officer who hit him was wandering back to his police van. For PC Harwood was an assigned driver that day. The end of his DVD shows him leading a convoy away from the area. The coroner said PC Harwood's training and the instructions given to him that day would be one of the issues the jury would have to consider.
Simon Israel reporting on...
We're never beaten on price on fitted roof.